Morning. Good morning, guys. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
All right. You're gonna start in a few minutes. So, how many of you guys did the test? Did you guys do any test? Ying, I
Yeah.
think you did that, right? All
Yeah.
right.
But I didn't see the grades.
Okay. So the grade, I believe the grade is gonna be show up after the test is closed. So test is gonna be closed at the tomorrow, right? Tomorrow night.
Okay.
February 9, test is going to be closed, and then you can have look at your mark. I think. I believe before the test is not closed, you can't see your mark. That's the reason that you can't see your mark. So
Okay. Thank
uh,
you.
you're welcome. All right. All right. So I'll give it a few more minutes. See people showing up in the class. Okay, so we're gonna this session is gonna be all about questions and answers. So I hope you guys bring some question. If not, then I have to go through my slides and give you overview of what we learned until now. Uh, so yeah, so this is dedicated to question and answers. But if you don't have any questions, we can go through the slides, basically the overview of whatever we learned in past 4 weeks. So I prepared a PowerPoint for that. So
Hi, Professor.
yeah, Priyanshi, yeah.
Yeah, actually, I want to ask the class will always be recorded,
Yes, this class is
and where
recorded.
can I find it?
I posted in the Blackboard. If you go to Blackboard to Zoom meeting, virtual Zoom meeting, I post the 4 links to four past 4 weeks of the class. Okay,
Okay,
so
thank you,
you're
Professor.
welcome. So is there anyone take the test, or you're not taking the test yet? So no one take the test yet. If you take the test, uh, put in chat box, put yes, and if you haven't taken the test, put in the chat box no. Okay, a lot of no yes, no. All right, all right. So half of the class take the test, half of the class didn't take the test. So any question, guys? As I said, we're gonna discuss about question this question and the problem and difficulty you have with the test. Um, so any question? If you have a question, just unmute yourself. And if the question is you need to show it on your desktop or laptop, you can just share your screen. Let me know. Let me see whether I can. Yes, I can set that. I said that everyone can basically share their screen right now, and then basically we can go from there. Okay. All right. If no one has a question, we probably can just go through. Uh, we can go through the slides which I prepared for overview. No question. All right. So let's just let me just share my screen. Then I'm just gonna go to the whole overview of the course which we learned until now. So can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
All right. All right. So what we learned until now, it's gonna go through the slides of whatever we learned until now. Just give you an overview of whatever we learned until now, and then the test is going to be covering all the materials which we learned until now. Okay. So this material which I'm covering is going to be in your test. Okay. All right. So So we learn how to do the percent to fraction, right? So you have percent to fraction, fraction to percentage, percent to decimal number to percentage. We have all this thing we learned in the class before, right? So this is basically the overview of that. So how we convert a percentage to a fraction, we just divide the number by 100, right? So the percent, you divide by 100, and then you get rid of the decimal points, yeah? And then basically, how do you get rid of the decimal point? You multiply by 10, you get a decimal point, and then you have this number, and then you try to find the maximum factor that you can basically remove from both sides, from top and bottom. In this case, it's 25. And if you divide the top one by 25, it's going to be 9, and this guy is going to be 40. Okay, so 9 over 40. That's how we basically convert the percent to fraction. Okay. You can just interrupt me anytime. If you have a question, you can interrupt me anytime, and I will answer your question. Okay. And how to convert a decimal to a percentage? Decimal is a number. You just multiply the number by 100. Okay. When you multiply a number by 100, you basically shift that decimal point 2 on the right, so it's going to be 25%. Okay. How to convert a fraction to a percentage? You can do basically use your calculator. This is going to be 5 over 8. It's going to be 0.625. And then if you convert to percentage, you have to shift this decimal point 2 on the right, so 62.5, right? So that's what we learned before, and this is how it goes. Okay. So the first equation we learned in the class, the first week, was portion equal to rate multiplied by base. So basically, portion is basically the part that left. Rate is the percentage, and base is the base number. Okay. So base is whole quantity. P is portion of the whole quantity, and rate is the relationship between the base and portion. Okay. All right. And for example, what's 50% of 500? Okay, so portion is equal to rate multiplied by base. Rate in this case is 50%, like half. Base is 500. It's like this, and 0.5 of 500 is kind of 250. Okay. So, and also you can have the other question: what percent of 950 is 590? In this case, they give you portion, they give you base, they give you base, but they don't know the rate. Okay. So in this case, rate is gonna be portion divided by base, right? So, and then you have portion, which is 590 divided by base, which is 950, and it's gonna be 0.6211. And then if you want to put in percentage wise, as we said, you have to multiply by 100, and then this guy is gonna move 2 on the right, right? So 62.11. All right. So what is 120% of $125? So basically, in this case, you don't know what's a portion, right? So you don't know what's a portion. You know the rate, you know the base, then you multiply the rate, which is 120%, right? So 120%, how do you convert it to the actual number? 120% is 1.2, right? So you get rid of the percentage sign. It's 120 is going to be 120 divided by 100, which is going to be 1.2, and that's the base is going to be 125, and you multiply these two numbers. Okay. All right. So any questions so far? Did you successfully pass those tests, which has the portion and base and rate question there? I hope you did. So I hope you guys did. So. All right, so percentage change. So what's the percentage change equation? Percent change is final value minus initial value divided by initial value multiplied by 100%. Okay. So if you consider that the final value as VF, and if we call initial value as VI, then it's going to be VF minus VI divided by VI. And if in some case it can be negative, right? So VF can be less than VI. And in that case, you have to put the negative sign in front of it. Okay. Okay. In the calculator method, if you want to do if you want to do basically percentage change, let's do the calculator method because I haven't. Let me just bring the calculator here. Let's see. Sorry, let me just quit the remote here. Give me a second. I need to bring that. Give me a second. I need to bring my calculator up. Did you guys find the question hard or a question easy on those people who pass the test? Did you find the questions easy or hard?
I think the lab 3 I did last week. I think it's a bit hard.
A bit hard?
Yeah, it spent me it cost me the entire time to finish.
And did you finish it? Did you finish them all? Did you finish them all?
I made to finish them all.
Okay, that's good. That's good. All right, so let me share my screen again. Okay, so in calculator method, if you want to do a percentage change, you have old, new, and percent change, right? So in the slides, I'm just gonna show you here in the slides. So you have old, new, and percentage. You can play with any of them, right? You can play with old and percent change. You find the new. You can play with old and new. Find the percent change, and so on and so forth. How you do it? Second and percentage change function. So second and percentage change function. Where is that? Where is percentage change? Oh, it's here, 5, now 5, all right. So yeah, so let me first of all just get rid of this thing. Sorry, so clear TVM. Just want to make the decimal second format decimal 9 set. Okay, second quit. Okay, now we have decimal 9 point. Okay, and second is so all the, for example, all this 12 set, and then new is 15 set, and then you go to percentage change CPT 25%. Okay, 25% from old to new is 25% change. Okay, or other things you can do, just clear everything. You can again go to percentage change. Old is, for example, 10 set, and then you change the percentage change is 50% set, and then know what's a new. New is 15. Okay, so that's how basically you can do. You can play with any of them. You can set the new and percentage change, find the old. Okay, so let's say new is 10 set, and then percentage change is 20% set, and what's the old? CPT 8.33. Okay, so you can play with all the three. So you can find those two based on the other three. Okay, so that's how you do it in calculator method. Okay. So $12,000 increase by what percent is $15,000. So as I said, the percentage change formula is percentage is equal to the V final minus V initial divided by V initial multiplied by 100%. Okay, so V final is the final value is 15,000 minus initial value, which is 12,000 divided by 12,000. Okay, so multiplied by 100. In this case, it's going to be 25%. Okay, and in calculator, as I said, 12,000. Okay, let's do it in calculator method. Let's do it in calculator method. 12,000 is old, right? And 15,000, and the new is 15,000. And then what you want to know what's C percent change is 25%. Okay. Okay. If a $15 hourly rate of a pay is increased by 20%, find the new hourly rate. What's the amount of increase? Okay, so in this case, give you percentage change and give you the base, the old one. Okay, and then you want to find the new. Okay, how you do it? So 20% is equal to final value minus initial value divided by initial value multiplied by 100%. You get it a percent sign in front of both of those guys, okay? And okay, so you have to isolate for VF, right? So how you isolate for VF? You basically can get it a percentage sign first and then multiply by 15. In this case, in this PowerPoint, you just get it a 15 first. So you multiply by 15. Both sides multiply by 15, and then get rid of you can get rid of the percentage sign, and then you find VF is equal to 18. Okay, so that's how you can do it. It's just a basic linear algebra. So okay, calculator method: $15 base and 20% increase. Okay, calculator, the $15 base, 15, enter, and what's the percent change? Is 20%, 20% change. And what's the old CPT? 12,500. Okay. Oops. Sorry. What did I? Okay, made a mistake somewhere here. So old is 15. Sorry. Old is 15. Percentage change is 20%. Yeah. And new is 18. Sorry. Okay. New is 18. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, so and that was first week lecture, right? So the second week lecture we start with simple interest rate. So what's the simple interest rate? Simple interest rate is equal to principal amount multiplied by rate multiplied by time period. So amount of interest is basically amount of interest which you accumulate over time. P is principal amount. You put the money in the bank. R is the simple interest rate, and time is time period. Okay, that's different than compounding. That's different than compounding interest rate, right? So simple interest rate is linear, so it doesn't accumulate over time. It's not exponential over time, so it's just a linear relationship, right? That's very important to have the unit of T converted to match the unit of R. So unit of R can be interest rate. Interest rate generally is annual interest rate, but they sometimes ask you, they say per month, sometimes they say per day. So you have to be very careful. Read the question properly, okay? Always there is a tricky question. So they ask you like 10% interest rate. As soon as it said per year or per month, you have to use it per year and per month. You can't use it compounded. So compound, if they said like 20% compounded annually or compounded monthly, you know that's 20% has to be divided by 12 to find the periodic interest rate, right? But in terms of simple interest rate, they give you already the periodic interest rate, so you don't need to convert to convert it to period to specific period. So that's important to know that. Okay, so make sure that you read the question properly, and the time period has to be matched with the simple interest rate, period. Okay. For example, consider $1,000 invested at interest rate of 10% per annum. So after 1 year of investing, you will have $100 as interest. After 2 years, you're gonna have $200, and after 2 years, you're gonna have $300, right, as interest, right? It's just linearly adding. So that's simple interest, right? But for compounding, we remember that it's not like that. So compounding, the $100 is gonna be added to 1,000. It's gonna be 1,100 for the first year, and then you're gonna have 10% of 1,100 added on top of that. For the second year, it's gonna be compounded basically exponentially, not linearly. Okay. So this is just, doesn't matter how many years it is, it's going to be number of years multiplied by interest rate multiplied by principal amount. Yeah. All right. All right. So how much interest did Amy earn by lending 2,800 to 28,750 for 3 months at 6.7% per annum? Okay. So how much interest rate? Interest is equal to principal multiplied by rate multiplied by time. So rate in this case is 6.5% per annum. Okay, but time is in 3 months. You have to convert this 3 months to a year. Okay, to be able to use it. Okay, the unit of this interest and the unit of the time has to be the same. Okay. So basically, time is going to be 3 months. 3 divided by 12 years, which is 0.25 years. And then interest is equal to principal multiplied by r multiplied by t. R is going to be 0.065. As I said, we divide this guy by 100 to use it, right? So this is going to be 28,750 multiplied by r, which you converted from percentage to number, right? So we can't use the percentage number. We can put 6.5 here, right? Because 6.5%, you have to divide by 100, right? Make sure don't do this big mistake in the calculation, okay? And then multiply by 0.25. It's going to be this number, 467.1875. Okay. Okay, so some question you might have number of days, right? So you need to calculate how many days from January, for example, 10 to August 20. Make sure if you don't have a calculator or you don't have a spreadsheet, you can make sure that you can use this the bump, the fist bump, right? So you can basically January, February, yeah, like that, and August, September, October, November, December, like that. Okay, in case that you don't have any basically calculator or cheat sheet handy, which I think you have. So it's just something, or you can use this guy. Okay, so this is better than that one. Okay, and even better than that, it's going to be calculator, right? So calculator is. It's much better to use the calculator. You put date 1 and date 2, and it's calculated. It's going to calculate for you the number of dates. Okay. So date 1 is going to be the format for date 1 is going to be basically this is a month, this is day, and this is year, right? So 10.1817 is the month 10, date 18, and year 17. Okay. So I think that's the best way of doing it. Okay. Using the financial calculator, find the number of dates between these two dates. Okay. So let's do it together. Okay. So let's go. Let's do the financial calculator. Let me create this mode and then use second date, and date. Where is date? Yes, here. Now we want to know what's the number of date between January 10, 2011. Okay, January 10, 2011 means 0, 1, 0, 10, 11, right? Enter, January 10, 2011, yeah. And day 2, which is going to be August 15, 2015. August is going to be 08.15, 2015. Okay, 1515. Enter. That's going to be date number 2. And now we want to know how many days is this? 1,678. Okay, that's the number of days. Okay, and then you can use this for your calculation. Okay. Yeah, so if you want to do it by hand too, you can just basically find the number of days. Make sure that you include the first day. Okay, include the first day in the calculation. Okay. Okay, so sometimes you have questions. So sometimes they ask you for interest, sometimes they ask you for principal, sometimes they ask you for rate, and sometimes they ask you for T in the question. So the best way to memorize this equation is just this triangle IPRT. So if you want to know what's the P is going to be I divided by RT. If you want to know what's R is going to be I divided by PT. If you want to know what's the T is going to be I divided by PR. And if you want to know what's I is going to be PRT. Okay, so that's a triangle method that you can memorize instead of putting all the equation in front of yourself and I don't know which one you have to use. You can just basically memorize this triangle and then use it in solving the questions. Okay. All right. All right, another example. Henry had to pay $350 as interest rate as interest payment on the loan that he had taken for a period of 5 months. If he received the loan at 9.28% per annum, what was the principal amount of the loan? Okay, so now the question is, what's the principal amount of the loan? You have interest rate, you have amount of interest, and you have time period. So you don't know what's the principal. As I said, as we go here, principal is going to be I divided by RT. Okay, so so principal is going to be I divided by RT, as I said. So what do you have? We have R, which is the interest rate per annum, 0.0928. And we have time. Time is going to be 5 months, right? So 5 months, you have to convert to year, right? So since R is in a year, you have to convert time to the year, okay? So it's going to be 0.4166, and if you put that in the equation, you're going to have 9,051.72. That's going to be the principal, okay? Any questions so far, guys? Any question?
No.
No.
All right. So how do we calculate the maturity value? Maturity value basically is going to be principal plus interest, right? So principal plus interest is maturity. This is all we are talking about in simple interest rate, right? So future value for simple interest rate, or maturity value, or accumulated value. They all mean the same thing. So basically, the maturity value or future value is going to be principal plus interest rate, right? Plus interest, right? So how we calculate it? P plus I is going to be maturity value. P is going to be P1 plus RT. And basically, if you want to find what's the principal, then you have to divide both sides by RT. So it's going to be, if you want to find what's the principal based on the maturity value, principal is going to be S1 plus RT power of minus 1. Okay. So that's how we calculate the maturity value, and also if we know the maturity value, how we calculate the principal value. Okay. Okay, another example. Sean received an amount of 1,690 from a pawnbroker at the interest rate of 4.75% per month. Calculate the maturity value of his loan and amount of interest he would have to pay to repay at the end of 3 months. Okay. All right. In this case, make sure, guys, this is 4.75% per month. It's not per year, guys. Okay. And this is 3 months. Okay, so the units are matched, and you have a principal amount. So you just basically use the formula I equal to PRT, right, to find the interest, and then you can use the maturity value formula, or you can just directly use maturity value formula of S equal to P1 plus RT. Okay, so P is going to be this guy, 1,690. R is 4.77%. Is important per month, guys. It's not per year. It's not per annum. Okay, per month, and then you have to convert it to number, and then T is equal to 3 months, and then basically S is going to be P1 plus RT 1690, then 1 plus this guy, multiplication of this guy is like 4. This by 3, and that's going to be this 1,930.83. Okay, so that's how it's calculated. The other way you can calculate it, just find the interest. Interest is going to be PRT. You have P, you have R, and you have T. Okay, and the unit of R and T are the same, so you don't need to convert the months to year. You don't need to convert the months to year, so you can use it directly. Okay, and then PRT. After you find the PRT, you add it with the P, you will have the maturity value. Okay, you can either use this formula or the PRT formula and add it to the principal to get the maturity value. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right, so we learned what's in the second week. We learned what's a simple interest, and also we learned what's compounded interest, right? The compounded interest is different than the simple interest, because as the basic interest accumulated exponentially rather than linearly, right? So what does it mean exponentially? It means that you put $100 here, At the end of the period, you will have $110, but that $110 is going to be your new principal. But for the case of linear or simple interest rate, the principal always stays the same. The principal is always the same. All the blue line is always your principal. It's always the same, and then the interest accumulates over time. Okay, and linearly. So every year you have $100, $100, $100, $100, and so on and so forth. But here, in terms of compound interest, the principal, the new principal is going to be old principal plus interest. New principal is going to be old principal plus interest. New principal is going to be old principal plus interest. Okay, so the interest, basically the principal grows exponentially. The principal grows exponentially, so therefore the interest also grows exponentially. Okay, so that's basically that's the way that the compound interest is calculated. Okay. All right. So $1,000 was invested at the interest rate of 10% compound annually for 4 years. What was the value of this amount at the end of the 4 year? Okay. Okay. All right. So we have the equation, right? So we have the equation, right? So if you don't use the equation, we just need to do it by hand, right? $1,000, then at the end of your 1 year, it's going to be $1,100, and then $1,100, 10% of this guy is going to be 210, and then 110, and then you add this, it's going to be this one, and so on and so forth. So you go to 4 years, okay? But if you can use the formula make it much easier. Future value is going to be present value 1 plus I power of n, and I is a periodic interest rate, n is going to be number of compounding period. Okay, so this is very basic equation of that we learned about compounding interest rate, right? So future value is present value 1 plus I power of n. This is the thing which we learned for like a couple of weeks. We have play with it. We solve a lot of questions with it. Okay, so basically so if you want to find, so this is a future value versus present value, right? So if you want to find what's the present value is going to be future value divided by this number, right? It's going to be basically this one. Okay, future value 1 plus I power minus 1. All right, so there are some examples here. We just go through the example together. So 6% compounding semi-annually for 4 years. What's the number of compounding frequency? Number of compounding period, M, okay? Or compounding frequency, right? So this is compounding frequency. What's the compounding frequency? The compounding frequency for semi-annual is 2, right? Yeah, compounding compounding frequency. What's the nominal interest rate? It's 6%, right? Term in years, 4 year, and number of compounding period for term n. Okay, number of compounding period for this is going to be compounding frequency multiplied by number of years, which is going to be 8. Okay. This example, 4.32% compounded quarterly for 9 months. Compounded quarterly, so means the number of compounding frequency is going to be 4, right? So 4 quarters is going to be 1 year. Nominal interest rate 4.32, right? Term in years is going to be 9 divided by 12, right? Years, term in years, guys. Make sure the term has to be in years all the time. When you use compounding interest rate, make sure that you use term in years. T has to be in years, okay? So T in years is going to be 9 divided by 12. And number of compounding period is going to be M, compounding frequency, multiplied by T, term in years. M by T, okay? So N is going to be this guy multiplied by 4. 4 multiplied by 9 divided by 12 is going to be 3, okay? So it's 4 multiplied by 9 is going to be 36, divided by 12 it's going to be 3. And what's this one? 0.06% compounding monthly, okay, for 1 year. This is not per month, guys. If you say 0.06% per month, then this is going to be different than compounded monthly, okay? This is compounded monthly, means it's annually. 0.6% is going to be nominal interest rate. It's not going to be periodic interest rate, okay? So how do you calculate the periodic interest rate for these guys? So periodic interest rate, you have nominal interest rate like 6% here, right? So periodic interest rate is going to be nominal interest rate divided by compounding frequency, which is going to be 2. Okay, so 6 divided by 2, 3%. Okay. Just make sure it doesn't have, the table has to have another column there, and to calculate the periodic basically interest rate. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, so 6.6% compounding monthly. So compounding frequency is going to be, since it's monthly, it's going to be 12, right? So nominal interest rate is going to be 0.6%, and term in years is going to be 1 year and 6 months, 1.5, right? And number of compounding periods for the term, and n is going to be m compounding frequency multiplied by number of year. So it's going to be 18. Okay. All right. ABC Mobile invested $500 for 3 years at 4.8% compound annually. Okay. What was the accumulated value of their investment at the end of 3 years? Okay. So $500 invested for 3 years at 4.8% compound annually. Okay. So the equation is future value is all right. So let me see. Okay. So all right, so the equation is future value is all right, maybe I copied the wrong slides. Anyway, so the equation is future value is going to be present value 1 plus I power of n, right? So present value is 500, I is 4.8. Since compounded annually, I can use the 4.8, and n is going to be 3, right? So in calculator method, we did it a lot in calculator method as well. Let's do it in calculator method again. So we use, basically, we have to use the functionality of calculator. This guys, right? So this 5 bottom, right? So let's just quit from the other mode, clear everything, and now I have 500 as a present value. So $500 is going to be present value. 3 years is going to be 3 years multiplied by compounding frequency, which is going to be 1, right? Compounding frequency is 1 in this case, right? So 3 is going to be n, yeah. And then compounding frequency is 1, so I have to go do p over y, make it 1, set, come out. So I set these guys, and also I need to know what's the interest rate. 4.8%. 4.8% is going to be interest rate. So now what's going to be my future value, right? So I want to know what's my future value. So CPT. So let's do future value, CPT, future value, CPT future value. So it's 575.51, right? Yeah. All right. So yeah.
May I please confirm if equation and also calculator method is equally good in examination?
Yes, they are the same. They are the same.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, they are the same for sure. Yes. So if you're more comfortable with calculator method, I would recommend to use calculator method actually. So rather than equation. So that's my personal recommendation. Yeah, it's much easier, right? It's much easier. You can solve all the question in like less than 90 minutes for sure. You can solve it in like 15 minutes.
Yes.
If you're fast with calculator. So, but anyway, so yeah, so calculator is equally good. Another example here is Go Travel Inc. invested $120,000 in an investment fund at 12% compounded quarterly for 6 years and 8 months. What was the accumulated value of the investment at the end of the term? Okay, so now we have present value, we have interest rate, and we have time. We want to know what's going to be the future value, right? So basically, what we have to do, we have to find I and n. I is going to be J, component J, 12%, divided by compounding frequency, which is going to be 3, right? So, 4, right? So quarterly, right? 4. So 12% divided by 4 is going to be 3%, or 0.03. N is going to be T. So T is 6 years and 8 months, right? So 6 years and 8 months, you have to convert it to number, right? 6, 8 divided by 12. You divide 8 by 12 plus 6, okay? If you want to do it in calculator, okay? Let's do it in calculators. We want to know you want to know what's 6 years and 8 months. We want to know what it is, okay? So 6 years and 8 months. You can do 6 plus 8 divided by 12. You can do that, yeah, 6.66. Or the better way, you divide 8 by 12 equal plus 6. That's better way, okay? Because sometimes calculators are dumb. Sometimes you do 6 plus 8 and you put equal divided by 12. That's going to be 1.166. Sometimes it's just this is not good. 6 plus 8 divided by 12. Make sure first divide 8 by 12 and then plus 6. Okay, that's better way. Sometimes when you some calculator, this one sometimes give you error. Some 6 plus 8. Sometimes you do 6 plus 8. As soon as you put the division, it adds 6 by 8. So and then so sometimes like that. But in this case is okay. But sometimes I see the calculator is dumb. So it's better to do the multiplication first and then summation. Okay, multiplication and division first and then summation in calculator. Okay, so 6.66 is going to be the time, and n is going to be compounding frequency multiplied by time. Compounding frequency is going to be 4 multiplied by time, and it's going to be 26.66. Okay, and then now you have n, you have I. So future value is going to be present value $120,000 multiplied 1 plus I power of n, right? So yeah, multiply I power n. Okay. Yeah. So that's it. So yeah. All right. So if you want to do it in calculator method, so let's do it in calculator method as well. So you have n. I don't want to calculate it again. 26.66, and you have time. Let's do the calculator method. Present value is 120,000. So I'm just going to clear everything in calculator right now. $120,000 is going to be present value, and now we have 12% compounded quarterly. So 12% is going to be this. Compounded quarterly means this guy has to be 4, and then quit. Yeah. So we set J, we set I, we set PV. We just don't know what's N, right? N is going to be N is calculated here, right? So 26.66. So 26.66666 is going to be N. And now what's going to be future value? 20. Okay, this one is mine. 263,941 is going to be the future value. So the result of this is going to be 260,000. Okay, but it looks like I copied only one slide. The second slide I didn't copy. So sorry for that, guys. All right. So if you want to know what's the if you want to know what's the present value, right? So present value is going to be future value divided by 1 plus I power of n, right? So present value is going to be future value by 1 plus I power of minus n, right? So calculate the present value of 77,500 that is due in 5 years. The interest rate is 2% compounded semi-annually. Okay. In this example, you need to find the present value. You have the future value, you have the time, and you have interest rate, and you have compounding frequency. Okay. So how do you do it? First of all, you find I. I is going to be J, which is going to be nominal interest rate divided by compounding frequency 2. It's going to be 1%. N is going to be number of years multiplied by compounding frequency, which is going to be 10. And present value is going to be future value, which is 7,500. 1 plus I power minus n, which is going to be this number. Okay. And you know how to do this, right? You know how to do this in calculator, right? So I mean 1 plus. So let's do this in calculator. 7,500 1 plus 0.01 power minus 10. Okay, 1 plus 0.01 power minus 10 is going to be 1.01, right? Power of minus 10. Power of 10 minus, guys. Okay, this is the number multiplied by 7,500. 7,500. equal to this guy. Okay. Yeah. So you do the base first, and then you put the power whatever it is in there. And if it's this negative sign, as I said, 1.01, power of 10 negative equal to, okay. In calculator method, if you want to do this, that's very simple. Calculator method, you have future value as 7,500. 7,500 is going to be your future value. Interest is 2%. 2% is your interest rate. 5 years semi-annually, right? So compounding frequency is 2, right? Compounding frequency is 2 semi-annually, right? Compounding frequency is 2. And then time is 5 years. 5 multiplied by compounding frequency is going to be n, right? So n is going to be 10, n. And now you want to know what's the present value. 67.89. Yeah, see how fast it is with this calculator if you learn it. All right. Okay.
Where do you enter n? I'm sorry, I already forgot because I really, yeah, I just saw it. Sorry.
Yeah, n is m multiplied by t, right?
Yeah, I still not get. I still haven't got used to calculator, but I just found that calculator is a really good tool for finding a particular value in this formula.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Calculator are the best, right? So it's the
yeah,
best.
you don't have to calculate that.
You don't have to calculate it. Yes, you just use the buttons. Yes, but you need to set them properly, right? So you have to set like
yeah,
n
that's
here.
the problem.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, I need to find out.
Yeah, so n is going to be number of years multiplied by compounding frequency.
I realized do you always press a number before you before you find the like let's say you want to find you want to enter future value.
So 10
you press
so
the number first, then you press n. You press,
yes, CPT first and then this. Yes, CPT and then this. CPT and then this. CPT and then this. Yes.
No, do you? I think you enter the number first and then press like.
Oh yeah. So
any
10
value.
and yes, 10 and yes, 10.
Okay.
And yes, 2,500 future value. Okay.
Yeah.
5,000 present value. Okay. Yes, you put the number first, and you set this guy to that number. 12%. Yeah. Second P over Y 5. The only one which is different is second P over Y. Okay. So if you do second P over Y, you can put like 12, which is monthly, set, and then come out. Okay. The only difference is P over Y, like second P over Y. Second P over Y, I over Y, P over Y. That's the only difference. That's compounding frequency. Yeah. That's the only difference.
Sorry, I'm still confused about after you enter all the value, how do you get the value you want? Like
the value you want is you put four other value, future value, I over Y, N, and P over Y, and then you want to know
it just naturally come out. But
it doesn't. Yeah, it naturally come out, but you have to put CPT on it. CPT that value.
Yes. Oh.
CPT,
what does CPT mean?
Means calculate.
Oh, now I get it.
Present value. Calculate future value. Calculate I over Y. Calculate N. Okay. Means calculate.
Okay.
Yeah. You got it?
Yes. Right, I'll just go through the recording later.
Yeah, just practice it a little bit, and you will figure it out. Okay. All right. This session, this session can be short, right? So I prepared a few slides for you guys, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it's not too many slides. Probably we're gonna, if you don't have any questions after this session, then we can just call it off. Okay. All right. So let's. Okay. So we did that, right? We already did this. Okay. Yeah. We did this present value. All right, so periodic interest rate, right? So how can we calculate the periodic interest rate? Periodic interest rate in this equation, we can calculate it by isolating it, right? So how do we isolate it? It's like this, okay? So you make both sides power of 1 over n, and then you get rid of the plus sign here, plus 1. So periodic interest rate is going to be future value divided by present value of 1 over n minus 1. So we isolate it for periodic interest rate, okay? Both sides.
Can I have a question?
Yeah.
If the n is more than 2, is there any suggestion? How do we find it in the calculator?
If n is more than 2?
Yeah, because during the test, are we
Yeah.
not allowed to use any other calculator?
No, you can. You're allowed to use anything you want.
Online one, the online one, like website one.
You can use any kind of calculator, website, your hand, whatever.
Or
You can use, yes, is open book, right? You can use whatever you
Right.
want.
all right, yeah.
Yeah. So you can
Sense.
use online calculator. You can use the calculator that you buy. I already bought it here, and you can use your book. You can use a formula sheet, whatever you want. So whatever you want. So in calculator, if you want to do 1 over n, we can go to some example there, right? So let's first finish this. So periodic interest rate is going to be future value divided by present value power of 1 over n minus 1. And then J, which is going to be nominal interest rate, is going to be I multiplied by M, which is compounding frequency, right? So let's solve some example here using calculator. You're using calculator method and also calculator itself. Okay, so first of all, let's use calculator itself. Sorry, yes, calculator itself for some calculation, and then we can also use the bottoms in calculator, which is called calculator method. So calculator method is different than using the calculator for calculations, right? So calculator method using the bottoms. When you use the bottoms, we call it calculator method because these are all hardwired in the calculator. So you use calculator bottom, okay? But when we're using calculator to perform calculation, like 1 over n, power of whatever, power of this, power of that, minus 1, minus plus, and all this thing, that's called using the calculator, okay? All right, so at what rate compounded monthly with an investment of $8,600 gross to $15,000 in 8 years? So here we want to know what's the rate, right? So we want to know what's the rate, and then we want to know what's the compounded monthly rate, right? So so we have present value, we have future value, and we have number of years, right? So in this case, we have to find what's M. M is going to be 12, right? So compounding frequency. 8 is going to be year, so we have N, 96. And now we have to use the equation I equal to FV divided by PV, power of 1 over n minus 1. And if we put this there, so it's going to be like this, okay? So now I'm going to use calculator to calculate this, okay? $15,000 divided 8,600, power of 1 over 96, okay? I want to use calculator to do this, okay? 15,000 divided by 8,600, okay? 15,000 divided by 8,600 equal to, okay, power of, okay, okay, so so there are two options of doing this, okay? Power of, open parenthesis, 1 over 96, 1 divided by 96, close parenthesis, equal to. That's one option. The other option is just do this. 15,000 divided by 8,600 equal to, store at the number 1. 1 over 1 divided by 96 equal to, store it in number 2, and then you do recall number 1, power of, recall number 2. This one. Okay, you can do either way. Okay, I suggest you guys you do it the second way. You store this on number 1, you store the exponent on number 2, and do recall number 1 power of recall number 2, and then -1. Okay, this guy. So this is going to be, the I is going to be a periodic interest rate, right? So it's going to be monthly interest rate. So you need to multiply by 12 to find the J, right? J is going to be component frequency multiplied by I, which is going to be 6.97%. Okay. So the investment will grow to 15,000 at 6.97% compounded monthly. Okay. All right. So we don't have too many slides here. We don't have too many slides here, and we're running out of slides. I think we can get a small break, and then we come back. We have another like half an hour, or we can just finish it in half an hour. Do you wanna basically finish the whole thing in half an hour and then we call it off, or you wanna take a break and then come back in 10-15 minutes and finish it in like half an hour? What do you guys want to do?
We can have a break and then come back.
Sounds good. All right. So let's make a break, like a 15 minutes break, and we come back at around let's say 5 minutes to 1, and then we go for another half an hour of overview, and then if you don't have any question after that, we call it off. Okay. All right, guys. So let's do 15 minutes break until 12:55. Okay. All right, guys. All right, guys, we're back. So I just want to mention that you guys have to do the test one by tomorrow at midnight, I guess. Just look at the Beretta, see what's your deadline for test one, okay? So make sure do the test one before the deadline. Otherwise, you don't have any mark for that, okay? One more thing I want to mention is you probably want to do a couple of mock tests before you do the actual test. So the mock tests are not graded and help you basically prepare for test one. Any question before we continue? We have a few slides for this is just overview, right? So the overview of what we learned in the past 4 weeks. We have a few slides. I think they're gonna take another like 20 to 30 minutes. And after that, if you don't have any question, we can call it off. Okay. All right. So, all right. I'm just gonna share my screen then. If you don't have a question. Do you see the PowerPoint? Yes, no?
Yes.
All right, sounds good. All right, okay, so we learn how to basically calculate the interest rate, and then now we want to know, so in this equation, right, so FV equal to PV 1 plus I power N, we learn how to calculate future value knowing PV, I, and N. We knew how to calculate present value if we know FV, I, and N. We know how to calculate I if we know FV, PV, and N. And now the only thing which left in the equation, how to calculate N, knowing FV, PV, and I. Okay. The same for calculator method as well, right? So in calculator method, let me just bring you the calculator method. We basically can calculate any of these guys, N, I over Y, PV, or FV, knowing 3 of them. If we know 3 of these guys, we can calculate the fourth one. Okay, so if we know, for example, PV, I over Y, and N, we can calculate the FV. If we know FV, I over Y, N, we can calculate PV. If we know PV, FV, and N, we can calculate I over Y. If we know I over Y, PV, N, we can calculate N. Okay, so this is the same for calculator method. So here in the equation, if you want to know what's N, so how to find the N, N is going to be basically if you isolate this, right? We want to isolate this equation for N. Okay, how do you do it? First, we divide by PV, right? So we divide by PV, we will have by 1 plus I power of N. Now we have to do natural logarithm, right? Natural logarithm to put that N from the power become multiplier, right? And then after that, we divide both sides by ln 1 plus I. Now we will have N, okay? So N is going to be ln of FV divided by PV divided by ln 1 plus I, okay? So that's number of compounding period, okay? And then if you want to know T, generally they ask you for T. They don't ask you for number of compounding period. The question generally asks you for T. They don't ask you for number of compounding period. So T is going to be N divided by M, right? So M is the compounding frequency. So T is going to be N divided by M, okay? All right, let's do an example here. How long it will take for an investment of $25,000 to mature to $85,000 if it grows at the rate of 10%, compounded semi-annually? Run your answer to next nearest months. Okay, so now here you have present value, you have future value, you have rate, and then they want to know how long it's going to take. How long it's going to take? A year. But you have to round your answer to nearest months. Okay, so you have basically everything you need to basically know what's N. Okay, so let's first calculate the necessary components for this equation. Okay, the necessary components are periodic interest rate, which is going to be basically nominal interest rate divided by compounding frequency. Compounding frequency in this case is 2 because it's semi-annually. And now we want to know what's n. N is going to be ln fv divided by pv divided by ln1 plus I. FV in this case is 85,000, PV is 25,000. 1 plus I is going to be, I is 0.05, so 1 plus I is 1.005. So you know how to calculate this quantity, right? So if you don't know, let's do it together. And 85,000 divided by 25,000. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, let me just hide this. 85,000 divided by 25,000. We want to calculate the whole thing. Okay, $85,000 divided by 25,000. $25,000 equal to 3.4. Let's store it in number 1. Okay, sorry, ln. No, let's do ln of this. Ln of this. Let's store it in number 1. Okay. Now the bottom 1.05. 1.05 ln. Let's store it in number 2. Okay. Now number 1 recall number 1 divided by recall number 2 equal to 25.08. Okay, and that's going to be n, right? So n is going to be this. So but t is different, right? T number of year. T is going to be n divided by m, which is compounding frequency, right? So it's going to be t is going to be this number of years. But I said nearest month, so you have to get rid of the you have to this 0.5412. You have to basically convert it to months. Okay, it's going to be 6.49, and nearest month is going to be 7 months. Okay. So that's going to be, that's how we calculate this. Okay. Okay. So 2 more topics we covered last week. It was the equivalent interest rate and the effective interest rate. Equivalent interest rate means that you have 2 interest rates which have the same, after the same period of time, they get the same future value. Using the same principal value, you will have the same future value. So let's call them I1 and M1, which is I1 is the periodic interest rate for the interest rate number 1. M1 is going to be a compounding frequency for interest number 1. And I2 and M2 is interest rate for the compounding interest, periodic interest rate for number 2, and the compounding period for number 2. Okay, and this has to be the same. So if they in the example they give you I1 and M1, and they ask you what's going to be a I2, then you can just isolate for I2 and use this equation. I2 is going to be 1 plus I1 power M1 divided by M2 minus 1. Okay, this is not hard coded in the calculator. It's a hardwired in calculator. So you need basically use your pen and paper to calculate this. Okay, so there is no calculator functionality for equivalent interest rate. There is a calculator functionality for effective interest rate, but not for equivalent interest rate. So you probably need to do pen and paper for this. Okay, and then so for sure, yeah. After you find I2, you can find M2, J2 by just multiplying M2 by I2, right? So J2 is going to be nominal interest rate. Okay, let's do an example here. 6% compounded monthly is equivalent to what rate compounded quarterly? So 6% compounded monthly. So you have J1, which is 6% monthly, M1, which is going to be 12, right? So is basically a compounding frequency for that. And then you don't know what's J2, but you know what's M2, right? So quarterly, say quarterly, right? So you know what's M2. So you have J1, M1. You can find I1, right? I1 is going to be this, and then you can put this equation, right? So let's do this in calculator. 1 plus 0.06 divided by 12, power of 12 divided by 4. Let's do this in calculator, okay? Let's do this in the calculator. All right, so as I said, base need to be stored in number 1. Okay, so base, as I said, also you have to do the division and the multiplication first and the summation. Okay, so first do the division. 0.06 divided by 12 plus 1. 0.06 divided by 12 plus equal to plus 1 equal to So this is going to be base number. Okay, I'm going to store it number 1, and then the power 12 divided by 4. 12 divided by 4 equal to 3. Let's store it number 2. Okay, so I store this guy number 1, store this guy number 2. So recall number 1 power of recall number 2 equal to this guy. Okay, and then minus 1 equal to this guy. Okay, so that's going to be I2 per quarter, right? So I2 to find J2, right? Because we want to know what's compounded, right? We want to know what's the nominal rate, right? You multiply I2 by 4, right? By M2. It's going to be 4. It's going to be 6.03%. Okay. So effective interest rate is just basically equivalent interest rate, which is compounding annually, right? So it's going to be equivalent interest rate, which is compounding annually. So, and the equation is 1 plus I power m minus 1. Okay. So any kind of interest rate with any kind of compounding period, you can convert it to an effective interest rate by using this formula. Okay. So effective interest rate is 1 plus I power m minus 1. And in calculator method, you can use iconv. So let's go do the calculator method. So let's clear everything here. So you go to iconv, and then you give nominal interest rate. You give nominal interest rate. You give compounding frequency, and it's going to give you effective interest rate. So nominal, compounding frequency, effective interest rate. For example, if nominal is 10%, set. If compounding frequency is 12, set. Then effective is going to be CPT. You put CPT on effective, 10.47. Okay. That's how you calculate the effective interest rate.
So, hi, Professor. Is there a PowerPoint available for this session, for this class, for this lesson?
For this PowerPoint, not available, but I can upload it in probably in the Zoom meeting. I will. Okay, so let me. I can upload in weekly session. Let me see whether I can do it. It's good that you asking me this, because let's see. I can do it right now. Okay, let's go to the weekly sessions and week 5, and then let me see whether I can build content here.
I'm wondering what's the due date of the test? For the test.
Overview, review, PPT. Okay, due date is tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow. Tomorrow is due date. Okay, just make sure you do the test. Otherwise, you're going to be 0. Huh? Make sure. Make sure you do this. Okay. Overview, and then select file, open a new window. Option to view this content. Technology. Submit. Okay. All right. So yeah. So overview PPT now is available on weekly session. Okay. Overview PPT.
Thank you.
You yes, is available in weekly session. Okay. All right. So let me see if it works actually. Oh yeah, it works. Yeah. All right. So okay. Go back to this. Okay. All right. So what is effective interest rate that corresponds to 4% compounded semi-annually? Okay, so you want to know what's effective? You know the equation, right? Effective interest rate F is equal to 1 plus I power of m minus 1, right? So we have J, right? So I is going to be J divided by 2, the compounding frequency, right? So it's going to be I, and now effective interest rate is 1 plus I power of m minus 1. It's going to be 1 plus this guy power of 2 minus 1, 1 plus 0.02 power of 2 minus 1. And it's going to be 4.04. Okay. If you want to do it in calculator method, so let's go to calculator and then do it in calculator method. Okay. Calculator method. So we are already in the. So let me just quit from this mode and again. Second icon. Okay. We come to the icon mode, which is nominal. So nominal is 4%. 4% is nominal. and then semi-annually, which is going to be 2, right? The M is going to be 2, compound frequency is going to be 2, and what's going to be effective? CPT 4.04. Okay, so 4.04 is going to be it's going to be effective interest rate. Okay, so that's all. So that's all I have to share with you guys. This is all we learned in past. That's all we learned in past 4 weeks. So I went a fast overview of what I already learned in the past 4 weeks, and if you have a question, just ask the question. If you have a question, just ask your questions. If not, then we can call it off. Still, you can send me an email if you have questions. I will try to answer your emails as soon as possible. But make sure that you do the test. Okay, test tomorrow is going to be the deadline for the test. So let's look at it together. Actually, let's look at it. What's the test deadline tomorrow? Okay. So NSS.
Is the test open tomorrow or stop tomorrow, like due tomorrow?
Let's see. Test 1. Okay, you see it? Do you see my window or no?
No.
I stopped shared. Okay, let me share it again. Okay. Okay, now you can see. Okay. Test 1. Okay, you see it here? My window. You see it?
Yeah.
Test 1 graded. 12 Monday, February 6 open. Closed 11:59 Thursday, February 9. It means tomorrow is going to be closed at 11:59 p.m. Yeah. So that test 1 is already open. Okay. And you can do some mock tests as well. Mock test is also open. You can do some mock test and before do the actual tests. So for the test 1, you have only 90 minutes. It's 25% of the final grade. So it's very important, guys. And it's closed on tomorrow night. Yeah? Yeah, any other question, guys? So lab 1, you see lab 1, lab 2, and lab 3, you can't do it anymore. The time is over. Lab 4, you have time until Sunday. Yeah? Make sure you do the lab 4 too, right, guys? Before Sunday. So yes. So tomorrow is last day for test 1, guys. Make sure you do it. Okay. Any other question?
No.
All right. You still can send me an email if you have any question. I will try to answer as soon as possible. But if you don't have any question, we can call it off today.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right.
Bye.
Good luck with the test, huh? Good luck with the test. Okay. All right. Bye.